Sleep. I never sleep. They killed my son. I just wait. In this I will never give you peace. And I will kill you all. Everyone who sniffed the air that day in Siwa. I am not a father anymore. I am not a husband. I am not a Magi. I am a hidden one.
Bayek of Siwa is one of the most universally loved characters in the Assassin's Creed franchise since Ezio. Every protagonist since Ezio has been incredibly divisive. Connor was boring and had far more problems, but that's for another video. Edward was copying Ezio, Arno was copying Ezio, the Fry twins were
the rooks. You will never get a chance either.
But Bayek, the people that dislike him are few and far between, and most of the time it's the same people crying because Origins went down the RPG route to refresh their formula and make a game that sold incredibly well and continues to do so today. Abubakar Salim delivered a fantastic performance and the writing to go along with it was spectacular. I adore Bayek and the community adores Bayek. We want to see him again and he needs his brotherhood, if you will, and in this video I'm going to tell you why I'm almost certain that this is exactly what we're going to get.
Here! And here is your nobody!
If we take a look at the way Ubisoft creates their games from past experience, it gives us a little insight into what's coming next in the franchise. For instance, after Assassin's Creed 1, they kept the same engine and reused as many assets as possible for Assassin's Creed 2. Moving on, Brotherhood reused the same assets as did Revelations, meaning the first 4 games all piggybacked off of each other, using the same engine, assets, gameplay, and structure in order to create games faster. Next up is Assassin's Creed 3 that started something new. A new engine was developed along with assets for a new setting. These assets were then reused in Rogue and Assassin's Creed 4, same as gameplay, engine, and so on. The same can be said for Unity and Syndicate. They reused assets from each other and also some things from the other 18th century games, although it was minimal. Since Ubisoft doesn't leave a 5-year gap between Assassin's Creed games, they have to reuse assets from previous games. They've never set a game in one particular time era or setting and then completely abandoned it. This is why I feel even if we don't play as Bayek in the next game, we won't be visiting Japan either. They can't reuse assets if we visit an entirely new location. It'll be somewhere very, very similar to Origins. However, in the case of this video, I feel this just allows Bayek having a sequel to make far more sense and feel much more realistic. Ubisoft doesn't seem to give their audience a reason to feel invested in their characters, specifically within games. Most characters get novels and comics to tell more of their story, but the games just throw them aside. Even with DLC, they started not caring about characters. Edward was thrown out for Adewale, and Connor wasn't even Connor, it was an alternate timeline that wasn't even a continuation of his story. With Bayek, however, we got 2 expansions, which further delved into his story and his journey in a number of ways that we haven't gotten since Ezio or Altair. Chronologically, the 2 expansions of The Hidden Ones and Curse of the Pharaohs are the opposite way round to their release, with Curse of the Pharaohs happening 4 years after the main game in 40 BCE, and The Hidden Ones happening in 38 BCE, 6 years after the main game. With Curse of the Pharaohs, we see Bayek take his first real steps as a Hidden One, spreading his wings, if you will, and journeying to a new area to stop an ancient power he'd seen before, from consuming a new land. We see Bayek learn more about the apple, along with, I think, opening his eyes to the loss of his Egyptian heritage, and partial loss of his faith, seeing as these afterlives are just a mere illusion created by the apple. If you played the side quests in each of the afterlives, you also get a nice character arc for Bayek, showing him finally letting go of Bayek of Siwa and becoming Bayek the Hidden One, which he said he'd do at the end of Assassin's Creed Origins' main story. This is a big turning point for Bayek, leaving behind his past, leaving behind Siwa and Khemu, and ire, in order to devote his life to the new creed he created and vowed to develop. In The Hidden Ones, we see Bayek travel to the Sinai in search of members of the Order who have been causing trouble in Egypt. It's here that Bayek learns the Order of the Ancients, later to become the Templars, are eternal, and that the Brotherhood must be too. Another lesson is that although the rebel leader thought he was doing good and sacrificing innocent lives for the greater good, this is not the way, and Bayek and Amunet created the tenet of the Brotherhood to never let harm befall an innocent person, regardless of whether you consider it to be for the greater good. These are huge character arcs for Bayek, huge reasons to be invested in his character. This is something Ubisoft rarely does, and they did it for Bayek, not just in one expansion, but in two, setting him up to have plenty more journeys now that he's a changed man. Going back quickly to my points about comics and novels, Bayek has had none of this treatment, other than a novel which is merely a prequel, and the Origins comics following Amunet to tie up her story. With a character as universally loved as Bayek, if they were going to throw him away, it makes sense to me that they'd make novels and comics finishing his story to cash in on the character's success, but they haven't. They've left it open. Why? Because to me, they're leaving it open for a sequel, and it seems incredibly likely. Bayek has been set up in Origins. Curse of the Pharaohs and the Hidden Ones developed him further to fully be a mentor of the Hidden Ones. His story has been left open-ended. Amunet's story was rounded off in the game and is being explored further in the comics as a quick cash grab. Bayek's story is all for the taking. We still need to learn of the other tenets, nothing is true, everything is permitted, why he isn't remembered, and the introduction of social stealth to the Brotherhood. Seems like perfect themes for a sequel, don't you agree? Throughout Assassin's Creed Origins, The Hidden Ones, and Curse of the Pharaohs, we get several hints to sequels that could potentially happen, or at least to revisiting Bayek. I don't think any of these specifically are giving us the setting or story, but I do think their purpose is to tell us that we aren't yet done with Bayek. I'm just going to go ahead and play a few of them in a little fun montage now for your enjoyment.
Hidden Ones will pass on to Petra, and towards Judea, and forever. The creed must live beyond anyone.
Well, this is a smuggler's village, so
You are a smuggler?
I am hoping to be. I heard that there is a merchant woman. She transports lotus wine from here to Rome and...
Theocles, if I was your father, I would be ashamed. You waste your talents on criminal schemes. I would send you back to Cyrene, but I fear the mischief you would cause there. I do not want to have to explain to Diocles why.
All right, Flea, all right. You have made your point. A life of crime is no life.
Go to Rome. Find a friend of mine, Amunet. Tell her I sent you, and she will keep your idle hands busy.
This brotherhood is strong, Bayek. Thank you for giving me a chance. Soon I will be heading to Judea. King Herod is causing problems for the people.
Tell me of your life in Rome.
It's a marvelous place, full of intrigue, deceit, and corruption. The perfect city for a hidden one.
I expected you to talk about the wine.
The wine is very good. You should come visit sometime. We'll have a taste.
I might do that. Is this Suter? He deserved more than this fate. The relic is gone. I pray to Amon he hid it well.
So it seems recently we got a leak which has a fair bit of credit to it, reported on by Liam Robertson, or Dr. Cupcakes, who's very well connected in the industry, and plenty of his past leaks have come true, being Super Mario Odyssey as well. Something more which piqued my interest was the fact that this leak lines up with a potential Bayek sequel. Remember back in 2016 in January, we got our first leak for Assassin's Creed Origins, or Assassin's Creed Empire as it was known at the time. This leaker got everything right. The setting, the desert mirages, the controllable eagle, there not being a game in 2016, the fact the map size was the same as Black Flag's, including the water, everything was spot on when it was released nearly 2 years later. Something else this leak included was talks of a trilogy, the same character in 3 games, the first being Egypt and the second being Greece. Now, if this doesn't scream true, then I don't know what does. Dr. Cupcakes is a very credible source, and the fact that his new Greece leak lines up with the Empire leak that nailed everything over 2 years ago leads me to believe that it could be very true. Nothing contradicts it and it all lines up. And since the Empire leak got everything else right, I feel pretty confident that after this recent Greece leak, that it got the trilogy part right too. We know how much Ubisoft loves money, how much they prioritize it, and why wouldn't they? They're a huge company. And so you tell me which is the best way to make money and spend less. Scenario A, make an entirely new game with new assets and new gameplay features with a new character that might suck and leaves no investment. Or scenario B, take Bayek, a well-loved character, develop him into a new game which contains similar but refined and tuned gameplay elements and similar environments so they can reuse assets. Clearly the latter is safer, more profitable, and costs less to do in a short time. Makes sense to me given Ubisoft's track record, it's exactly what they do. I can't see them jumping the ship so soon on the current setting. If they wanted to do one game in Egypt and leave, then they could have set it during the reign of Ramesses II and when the pyramids were first built in the time of the Pharaohs, but they didn't. They set it in a time period where they can visit Greece or Rome or surrounding areas because that's exactly what they want to do. In conclusion, nobody knows if we're getting a Bayek sequel, but I would love one, and due to all of this information I've collated, it feels to me as this is the road they're going down. Bayek is such a well-written and well-performed character that it would be a shame to throw away a character I feel incredibly well invested in. This is a new beginning for Ubisoft and for Assassin's Creed. Perhaps they can keep up their winning streak and give us another game with one of our favourite characters. Thanks so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed, drop a like and sub, and check out the other content I have on my channel. There's some good shit that you don't want to miss. If you really want to help out as well as get some additional content, head over to my Patreon at patreon.com/as-always and pledge as little as $1 to help me out producing content and also get yourself some exclusive shit. Cheers again for your support. See you all next time.